So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to pretty much part B of Atmakaraka through ascendants. Okay. And so this particular video is dedicated towards retrograde Atmakaraka because, yes, it is going to have a very, very different feel than your direct Atmakaraka. So, as in the first video, we discussed that Atmakaraka is a planet with the highest degree. Okay, the one that is closest to the 30th degree point, like 29 degrees, 29.6 degrees, 29.4 degrees. And of course, just to clear the air, I follow the 7 karaka system where Rahu is not involved. So it's not 8 karaka system, it's a 7. But again, you are free to even include Rahu in this if you like. Okay. And as always, if you do not know which one is your Atmakaraka, this planet that signifies the duty that you're here to kind of commit, because Atmakaraka is the duty. Okay. And so if you want to know where it is, what planet it is, you can check out the links here, KRSastrology.com. Under shop section, where in option 6, you'll see the astrological report, where you'll see your degrees on the first page, second page, and including your Gemini section, where you'll see the AK, BK, DK, PK, and you'll know which one is the AK. AK is the abbreviation for Atmakaraka in that report. So here's a very, very simple scenario with retrograde planets. Do you actually know that even Sun and Moon will behave retrograde? Right? Sounds absurd. Sounds like somebody who doesn't know astrology is talking about astrology. Because they don't know that Sun and Moon never are retrograde. But do you know, especially in one of the Nadi concepts, when Sun or Moon or both are connected with Rahu or connected with Ketu, those 2 planets that are direct will behave retrograde. Any planet actually that is conjunct Rahu and Ketu will become retrograde, especially if Rahu is holding the highest degree in the conjunction. If it's holding the lowest degree, it won't be considered retrograde. But if, let's say, Rahu is at 25 degrees, Sun is at 20 degrees, Moon is at 12 degrees, well, Sun and Moon are going to also behave retrograde. Unconventional. So here's the thing, besides this particular concept that I just told you, a retrograde planet is like this. Okay? So I'm a retrograde, I'm a planet sitting in a house. And my sight is supposed to be direct. So I'm looking directly. But the thing is, with the retrograde planet, what happens is, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting in this house. So let's say if I'm sitting in the 4th house, but I'm retrograde. What I'm doing is I'm looking back. So imagine you're looking back. So, and this is one of the concepts that was clearly stated by Nigandi, that he's one of the brilliant professors of Nandi Nadi. He clearly stated that when, let's say you're in a group of people, one person looks back. You're in a line, right? You're in a line to go into a concert. Somebody just suddenly looks back and starts looking. So that means what happens with you? You also start looking back. Like, hey, what's happening? Something is happening. Somebody's coming over this way. So you look back too. This is the whole science and concept and logic behind even Sun and Moon being retrograde. So let's say ahead of me, if I'm Sun and Moon, Rahu is ahead of me, and Rahu turns back and starts looking. Not looking at me, but just looking right here on my left side. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I'll just kind of look back to, is there something happening? But a retrograde planet looks back. So I'm standing where I am. I'm standing where I'm in the house, but I'm looking back. What does that tell you? That my focus, my concentration is no longer at the spot that I'm at. My concentration My focus is towards the previous house. This is the simple logic behind a retrograde planet, whether it's Atmakaraka or not, or any planet. So this is why they say that a retrograde planet behaves like it's in the previous house. Because their entire focus, their consciousness of the graha, the planet, is on the previous house. So imagine if your sun is in the first house. If sun, or not sun, any planet, let's say any planet is in the first house as your Atmakaraka. See, what the thing is, as I said in the previous video, which you should watch, so you'll get more details, that this person is here to focus on themselves. This person is here to do things what they want, regardless of what everybody's telling them to do. They're going to do what they're supposed to do. That's the planet in the first house. But when it's retrograde, you will see this planet no longer now cares for getting for what they want and need. But now in the first house, they're looking back at the 12th house. What does this show? This shows a concept of escapism. The retrograde Atmakaraka in the first house looks to escape from things. If they're in a certain place, they will always be like, okay, I got to get away from this place. And I got to go far away. Retrograde Atmakaraka in the first house, the person will always feel more comfortable outside of their community, outside of their birth situation, than within the birth situation. Now, you can use the exact same concept from first to second house. The planet, the retrograde planet in the second house, where they're supposed to help the family, be responsible for it. And they will be responsible for it to a certain extent, but their entire focus when it comes to money is that, okay, how do I provide myself? How do I take care of myself? Because I have some unfinished karma from past life that I feel that I didn't take care of myself. So you will see retrograde planets in the second will actually be much more focused on gaining the sustenance and money for themselves. Like you will see this person doing everything for the family. They recognize this person who does everything for the family, but the thing is, internally they know they only did this because they had to fulfill their own desire. Fine, they got their family a home. They got their family the sustenance, the food. But this person's like, I gotta drive this, this BMW. Because I want this. I feel like I have been neglected somehow. And they'll feel that in the subconscious, that I've been neglected by not taking care of myself, not giving myself importance. So I want to give myself importance by getting this material thing, because second house is that material possession. But because the Atmakaraka in the second house goes to the first house, the material possession is now to satisfy your needs. And this is the foreplay of life and people. Like, for example, some people will see a certain person in a certain light. Like, this person is so great. They're doing so much for society. They're so much doing for everybody. Look at them taking care of their mother. And that is true to a certain extent. But with the retrograde planet, they had to achieve that to satisfy their needs as well. It's not just fully devotional to, and then again, this is not like virtue signaling. This is not like being a moral police that, these people are going to be here for themselves. No, they should be. It's retrograde, for crying out loud. A retrograde planet is saying, I'm sorry, you've got unfinished business to deal with the previous house before you even think you can accomplish everything with the house that you're sitting in. That's what happens. This is why you see like an exalted Jupiter in the fourth house, which is retrograde. You're like, why is this person doesn't like to deal with the responsibility of the home and cooking and dealing with the mother, yet they're always love to deal with communication, media, social media, and trying to help out their friends more than the family because of the fact there's that unfinished desire from the past. So now when a retrograde planet goes into the third, it's in your third house. They will do things related to the third house, but they're doing it because they want to find sustenance. They're looking, like, for example, the retrograde planet in the third house will become a media personality, will become fine-tuned in the art of communication in social media, just so they can get the cloud recognition, so they can provide for the family. Here now, retrograde planet is looking for providing for the family, finding sustenance for themselves. They want to increase their bank account. Why? Because a retrograde planet in the third will always be focused on and worried upon their sustenance going away. Because a retrograde planet in the third house will go through such conditions that they may not have much growing up, but they have to fight for that. And they feel like, now that I have this through my third house activities and skills, I don't want to let this go. So this is why they do everything, because they want to feel secure. Retrograde planet in the fourth house. Retrograde planet in the fourth house will seek to attain admiration of the people within the home and people within the homeland, because fourth house represents people of the homeland. They will try to conquer the crowd of the homeland because of the fact they feel that they need to be recognized. Their skills need to be perfected and seen. So when you have an Atmakaraka in the fourth house, the individual will always use media, communication, writing, social media to gain respect within the home, respect within their home community and people of the homeland. So this becomes very important. And especially in the fourth house, they will feel that I need to take care of, my household. But you know what? I can only do that unless I take the help of the third house. So retrograde planet doesn't mean that they are going to run away from certain situation related to helping out the mother. Actually, the retrograde planet may see very unusual, unorthodox situations within the home growing up. Perhaps even one could not get the love of the mother. One could have been separated from the mother. One did not find that confined space within the home, and they looked towards friends, looked towards siblings, looked towards their online family, which nowadays you can say social media is like your online family, to find that fulfillment of nourishment. While the retrograde planet in the fifth, if Atmakaraka retrograde is in the fifth house, they will build upon their fame. They will build upon their foundation, their comfort, by actually dealing with subordinates, people working under them. Because fifth house is children. And this is something I should have mentioned even in the first video. But what happens with me especially with some of my disabilities of learning, my brain is thinking faster than what I'm saying. I wish I could, and I'm hoping that meditation and all these things slow it down. But I have so much information in my head that my speech cannot keep up with the brain. So I should have mentioned that, yes, Atmakaraka retrograde in the fifth, will not only feel like that they need to take support of their children, subordinates, students to make themselves happy. But it also shows me that that's the karma that they have to kind of fulfill, because only through the fifth house they can now fulfill the karma of the fourth house. That's all with every single house. For the first house, Atmakaraka, the fulfillment is happening by escaping to some faraway place. Maybe that's when they run away, they go into some monastery, and they learn the life wisdom where they can now actually make their first house better. So that's what happens with the Atmakaraka in the fifth house. Then, if Atmakaraka is in the sixth house, what they're doing, that this is the particular Atmakaraka who is willing to deal with the struggles, dealing with enemies, dealing with obstacles. Like in India or Hindi, they call it sanghar. So they can provide for their children. They feel like, I need to give my service. I'm giving service. I'm doing great for the world, but I actually need to focus this for my children. So what you will see, Atmakaraka in the sixth house is actually working really hard so they can make sure that their children have the best of education. They will struggle. They will work in restaurants to pay for their tuition for their school. And at the end of the day, they graduate with honors as a lawyer. And the same person a week before who was making $15 or $10 an hour as a server is now suddenly getting a $280,000 starting contract with a law firm. The best way to describe this is with the movie The Firm of Tom Cruise. Perfect example of that. So sixth house, they're doing the service. They want to show that they're doing things for the world. I'm donating to the world. Look, I'm suffering. So retrograde planet is actually going to make you see what is happening in the sixth house, just so they can quickly fulfill that fifth house desire. While retrograde Atmakaraka in the seventh, which is dealing with business, contracts, unionship, marriage, okay? They will make it look like that they're the best business person. They will make it look like that they are fully devoted to their marriage. But the thing is, the whole goal is to paying off some past life debt. This is why seventh lord or seventh house Atmakaraka, you will see such people will always have some debt they have to deal with. They will either be obligated to some person, they will get into debts, which is why now, like you see that a person will engage in partnership business because they realize that through this, I can take care of my obstacles, take care of my enemy, take care of my debts. Like, for example, like you are doing a lot of business competition and you can't do it on your own. You're like, I need a partner. And you get a great partner through which your business becomes successful, so you can now show the enemy that look who's powerful. So again, they're looking back. Same thing with the eighth house. Eighth house Atmakaraka, which is kind of like even self-undoing. Atmakaraka in the eighth house sometimes will even sabotage their own opportunity. Because the thing is, they're not able to see how this particular opportunity, this person, this situation is benefiting me. They just feel sometimes, okay, that when world sees me suffering, only then I can feel satisfied. And because the retrograde planet the Atmakaraka in the 8th goes into the 7th. They will pretty much put upon that notion within their marriage. Like, look how much I'm suffering. You have to take care of my suffering. Take care of my psychological issues. Take care of these hidden traumatic events that I have gone through. So they become very private, but at the same time, they want to mingle with the world and other people just so they can release their suffering onto others. So again, it's not a good or bad thing. This is how this person, actually you should help this person. When Atmakaraka is in the 8th and they're looking for friendship, you should be their friend. Ask them what happened with your life. Tell me about your life. And they will love to tell you. They would love to go deep into their suffering because they feel like now I am bringing it out to the world, because 7th house is other people. 7th house is the masses. Atmakaraka, when it's in the 9th house, it feels like that they're trying to serve and protect and deal with their father, their gurus, higher divinity. But there's always some secret events. They're doing it because of something secret and hidden. For example, somebody gets into huge gambling debt. And now they got to pay that debt off. And now they know that if the only way they can start making money is if they go and work for their father. So now this retrograde Atmakaraka in the 9th house will be fully dedicated towards that, because they know that through helping my father, I can take care of these other people's money or take care of this hidden secret that I have. And those hidden secrets will obviously be determined by planet and the signs and its tattva and its nakshatra. The 10th Lord, retrograde planet, they're simply working just so they can take time off, focus on their divinity. They're working to accumulate that money and work, and they show that look how hard I'm working and how dedicated I am to this work. But that's not their goal. Their goal is, look, if I can work 6 months and accumulate this money, I can take a trip to Bali. I can take a trip to Benares and be with this yogi, be with this guru, be with this mentor. Or I can learn this particular thing that I wanted to learn. But 10th house, Atmakaraka, is no longer about their professional goals. They're doing it for the sake of doing it, but their mission is actually towards the 9th house matters. That, you know what? By me working here, I can take care of my father. By me working and making this money, I can help out my spiritual guru. I can take these long distance trips. I can take time off for another 3 months, work on my writing and publish it. Because 9th house is publishing. 11th Lord Atmakaraka, who is wanting to be this leader of large group, wanting to deal and take care of the elder sibling, and they feel that's their duty. But they feel that by doing that, they will increase their professional status. By me helping out this large group of people is going to elevate my own resume, my own fame. So they will do their work. For example, like I said, 8th house, 11th house can make into a union leader. Whether it's trucking union, whether it's plumbers union, nurses union. But they do feel, you know what, I need to do this because I missed my opportunity to be recognized by the world, recognized by my authorities, my managers, or the government. So if I do this thing, I will gain this. But again, this doesn't mean that they're not doing that thing. They're going to fight for it. They're going to make sure everything is right and the group of that people who are fighting for certain rights, they get what they want, but they in the background, they're like, okay, so how am I going to get my recognition through this? And of course, they're not going to admit it. They're not going to say it, but that is what's happening. Because that is something that was unfulfilled. They did everything for everybody in the 11th house in their past lives, and they were never noticed about it. Like, for example, I watched this documentary of this musician, Rodriguez. Like, literally, he was Bob Dylan of the 60s and 70s and could have been worth $1 billion, 800 million. But he's living in a small little apartment in Michigan. And he talk about the war, talk about all the racial injustice, everything. I don't know what the documentary name was. I know it's about Rodriguez, the musician. So now that person will come back in the next life, fight for equality, fight for, peace and war, but they're going to make sure that they get their proper recognition and respect in society. And the 12th Lord, Atmakaraka, which is now having that notion that, hey, you need to now look at something else. But what happens is trying to look at things outside of your 5 senses. Whether you're doing drugs, whether you're doing hallucinogens, whether you're following a monastic path, spiritual path, being a nomad. You're doing that to fulfill, you're going to try to fulfill some desire. You are trying to gain from that 12th house matter. Maybe you will open up some large organization related to helping out nomads. So that money comes in and you're able to gain through it and you can fulfill some desires of your own through it. And again, what I say is, why not? You go get your money. You go fulfill your desires. And this is their dharmic path. This is the dharma of their path. So again, a retrograde planet does not mean that, well, you're doing this and you're doing that. No. It has to be this. No, that's not how it works. Those are not the rules of the cosmos. Those are your rules. Those are your policing moral standards that you will put on somebody with a retrograde Atmakaraka. In reality, you should actually say, no, do this so you can get this recognition. As an astrologer, if you see an Atmakaraka in the 11th, say, yes, you're doing this great thing for NGO and UN, but make sure that you get recognized. Make sure, because I need to help them fulfill their karmas, for crying out loud. I need to make sure that this is fulfilled, otherwise they're going to still get a retrograde planet. Retrograde Atmakaraka. So they have to actually focus on the previous house more than the house that they're in. But yes, both of them needs to be dedicated. Fine, you want to get your fame, but make sure this particular thing happens. But the thing is, with all retrograde planets, they will find situations that are very reversing in their against their wishes. Like retrograde Atmakaraka in the 4th house, the soul does not get fulfilled by the mother, so they look for the friends. So they still need to work that relationship out with the mother, while at the same time, they should seek friends and friend circle. So it's a balance. You have to deal with this balance. So this was my, little kind of small notes, onto retrograde Atmakaraka. But like I said, with each planet, it'll be different. Okay. And remember, I'm going to be coming out with the new course very soon on Maga Vedic Astrology Academy. And of course, if you need any consultations, you can check out the links here, shop section. Those are the only consultations I offer right now. Okay. But we'll get back to our series.